The M4 Sherman was the workhorse tank of the US Army during World War II, and one of the most produced tanks in history. It performed very well in any theaters of war where it was deployed, and its variants remained an effective counter to the German armor till the very end of the war. All in all, almost 50,000 Shermans rolled off the factory floor. Furthermore, in War Thunder, the Sherman is one of the most widely used vehicles, with almost every nation having at least a single variant of the iconic tank at their disposal. So today, we're talking about the Shermans. Let's kick it off with the M4A3 E2 76W. The long-barreled jumbo is a big threat to many opponents due to the fact that it has good armor, a quick-firing cannon, and a vertical stabilizer all at the same time. The tank's mantlet can withstand hits by rounds that routinely pierce up to 200 millimeters of steel, but keep in mind that your hull doesn't have the same level of protection, so be careful. It takes the guns only around 6 seconds to fire again, which can give you a big advantage in many situations. If you fail to penetrate the target's armor with your APC-BS round, aim for their barrel, and then load up an APC-R round. All in all, the long-barrel jumbo makes for an excellent flanker. Just stay clear of heavily armored opponents like the German Jagdtiger or the Soviet IS-2. The M4, which is one of the earliest modifications of the Sherman, is a proverbial American tank. Average mobility, good gun, decent armor that allows you to make a mistake or two. After all, there's a reason why this early Sherman became one of the most produced models of the series. A quick-firing cannon with powerful APC-BC rounds can penetrate the defenses of almost any target you might encounter. And you get a vertical stabilizer which provides a sizable advantage at the tank's BR. The catch is that this gun is pretty tricky to use when firing at distant targets. The M4 performs much better up close or at medium range, not to mention that there's a steep drop-off in penetration rates when engaging enemies that are far away, which is a big factor when fighting against heavily armored vehicles. Then we have two Sherman variants that we're going to lump in together because their playstyles are pretty similar. The British Sherman Firefly and the Italian Sherman VC. In a way, these two have more in common with tank destroyers than with medium tanks. Both vehicles have pretty mediocre armor for their respective BRs and aren't that mobile, but their guns can easily penetrate enemy armor thanks to their powerful sub-caliber and solid-shot rounds. In fact, they have enough firepower to eliminate enemies with just a single good shot. It doesn't always happen, but it certainly can be done. The only drawback is that somewhere along the way, they lost half of their max gun depression. It's just -5 degrees now, while their American counterparts have -10. Nevertheless, if you use them carefully and engage your targets from afar, these tanks will allow you to use their excellent gun to its full potential. Another variant worth noting is this unusual French hybrid vehicle, the M4A1 FL10. This tank was created by mounting the oscillating turret of the French AMX 1375 on the hull of the American Sherman. Thanks to its built-in autoloader, as long as you have shells in your first stage ammo racks, the gun can fire every 5 seconds regardless of the level of your loader skills. The FL10 performs pretty well both as a flanker and a sniper. Just pick the role that you like. We've made it to the top 3, and the first vehicle here is the German M4 748A. Basically, it's the same as the American M4A2, but it plays very differently as part of a German team. For instance, most of your nastiest adversaries with guns with high penetration values are your allies now, so it takes a lot of stress off your back. The only opponents you should be worried about are tanks that can reliably pierce your frontal armor, like the T-34-57. All in all, the M4 748A can be used rather effectively in almost any role. Maybe not as a sniper though, because its gun is pretty tricky to use at long range, and it also loses much of its penetrating power if your targets are too far away. The silver goes to the M4A2 76W. This variant of the Sherman can be found in two different tech trees. The American tree has the regular one, and the Soviet roster includes the premium one. This Sherman is pretty mobile, but don't expect it to be the first to arrive at key positions on the map. On the other hand, its gun will almost always one-shot enemy vehicles if you penetrate their defenses, because your shells come with a lot of explosive filler. The best part is that even if you fail to eliminate the opponent with the very first shot, it won't take long to deliver the next one, as the gun reloads fairly quickly. Its depression and elevation angles are standard for an American tank, which means that it can engage targets on almost any kind of terrain, and a vertical stabilizer allows you to get a target in your sights almost immediately after stopping. In other words, apart from its mediocre armor, the M4A2 76W doesn't really have any big flaws. It's highly adaptable and doesn't force you to build your playstyle around any particular technical limitations. Finally, the ultimate Sherman is clearly the M4A3 105. It performs extremely well at its BR. It has good armor, decent mobility, and a powerful gun. It makes for a great brawler, but it can also deal with enemy ambushes and defend key positions. Its 105mm howitzer is very effective up close and at medium range, with its high explosive shells making short work of your enemies by causing overpressure. At the same time, the gun isn't the only thing that the M4A3 105 has going for it. The tank's front armor is sturdy enough to easily shrug off hits by Soviet 45mm and German 50mm guns. Just keep in mind that the sides and the rear of the vehicle don't have the same level of protection, so try to always keep your enemy right in front of you. If you do that, this Sherman will never let you down. So, what do you think? Is there any specific Sherman variant that you prefer? Or maybe we forgot to mention something? Feel free to tell us in the comments below.